The morning was warm and lazy, the kind that makes you want to stay in bed forever. Amy curled up against me, her body fitting perfectly into mine like it had for the past 20 years. I wrapped my arms around her, breathing in the familiar scent of her hair. The memories of the last 2 decades played in my mind. Our first dates, the wedding, the birth of our daughters just a year apart. We built a life together, watched our girls grow from toddlers to teenagers, then off to college, leaving us alone in the house again. I kissed the top of her head. The last 20 years flew by so fast. I murmured. Now that it's just us again, we should make the most of it. Be like we were before the kids. Amy giggled, her fingers tracing lazy circles on my chest. We're not exactly newlyweds, but that doesn't mean we can't keep things exciting. I smiled, drowsing content, my hand stroking hers. Her skin was still as soft as ever, and she sighed happily, nestling closer. Just as I was about to drift off, she lifted her head and kissed me. "Tim," she said softly, her voice steady, "being with you like this, it's one of the best things in my life. I know you feel the same. We're good together, and I never want that to change." I mumbled something sleepy in response, too lost in the warmth of the moment to form real words. She kissed me again, her lips lingering. "What we have is special," she whispered. "I want us to grow old together, spoil our grandkids, be there for each other no matter what." I nodded, pulling her closer, ready to let sleep take me. But then her voice cut through the haze once more. "Before grandkids take over our lives, though, I want one more adventure. One last thrill before we settle into being grandparents and getting old." That woke me up. I blinked, my brow furrowing as I tried to process what she just said. "Adventure?" I mumbled, still half asleep. She hesitated, then nodded. "I know it's selfish, but I want to do something new before we're too old to try." A slow alarm started ringing in the back of my mind. I shifted, propping myself up on one elbow to look at her. "What kind of adventure are we talking about?" She bit her lip, her expression shifting between excitement and guilt. "Well, it's more for me, really. But you can have your own, too." The alarm in my head got louder. "So this isn't an us thing. It's a you thing." She winced. "Yes, but..." I sat up fully, suddenly wide awake. "Amy, just say it. What's this about?" She took a deep breath. "You know Dan from sales? He and his brother bought a sailboat last month. Susan from my office went out with him last weekend and said it was amazing. She told me all about it, and I mentioned it sounded fun. Next thing I know, Dan's inviting both of us to go sailing next weekend." I stared at her. "So some guy I've never met wants to take my wife away for the weekend?" She nodded. "With Labor Day, it'd be 3 days." I shook my head, my stomach tightening. "That's not just selfish, Amy. It's disrespectful." "I have pictures of the boat," she said quickly. "It's beautiful. Susan had a great time." I exhaled sharply. "Susan is single. You're married. Do you not see the problem here?" "I know," she said, reaching for me. "But it's just one weekend. One last little adventure before..." I jerked away, standing up from the bed. "No, absolutely not. You think I'm just going to let you go play sailor with some random guys? What do you think they're expecting, inviting 2 women onto their boat?" Her face flushed. "I never said I'd sleep with them." "Did Susan?" I shot back. Amy looked down, her cheeks reddening further. "She did, but that doesn't mean I would." My chest ached. So the real adventure isn't a boat. It's spending a weekend with 2 guys who clearly have other plans. She let out a shaky breath. "Tim, I'm sorry. I got caught up in Susan's excitement. It sounded fun, but I wasn't thinking. I won't go." I stood there, my heart pounding. 20 minutes ago, I'd been happier than I'd ever been, holding her, believing in us. Now I wasn't sure what to believe. "You made me think we were solid," I said quietly, "that we wanted the same things. But now I see I was wrong." She started crying, her voice breaking. "No, Tim, I love you. I do. I was stupid and selfish. Please just forget I ever said anything." I turned away, walking into the bathroom and locking the door behind me. The hot water in the shower did nothing to wash away the sick feeling in my gut. How could she even consider something like that? When I came out, she was face down on the bed, sobbing. She looked up when she heard me, her eyes red and swollen. I sat beside her, and she clung to me, her tears soaking my shirt. "For 22 years I trusted you completely," I said, stroking her hair. "I never doubted us. Not once. Until today." She cried harder. "I'm so sorry. While you were in there, I kept imagining if it were you telling me about 2 women inviting you away. I felt sick. How could I have been so selfish, so stupid?" I didn't answer right away. The damage was done. The trust was cracked. What do we do now? I finally asked. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I'll call Susan. Tell her I'm not going. And I'll make sure Dan knows it's not okay to invite a married woman like that. I'll even look for another job. Maybe your sister's bakery. Something where I'm not around people who would even suggest something like this." I studied her face. She looked sincere, but the doubt was still there. "Please, Tim," she whispered, "give me a chance to fix this." I didn't know if I could, but I also couldn't throw away 22 years over a mistake. So I nodded. Amy clung to me, crying, kissing me, promising over and over that she'd make it right. Epilogue. It took time, a lot of time, but slowly the hurt faded. Amy quit her job and started working at my sister's bakery, throwing herself into something new. She never brought up adventures again. Years later, when we finally retired, she turned to me one morning and smiled. "Now that we're old and boring," she teased, "what do you say to one last adventure? Just you and me this time." I laughed, pulling her close. "Sounds perfect." And it was. The days that followed were tense. Amy called Susan right away, turning down the sailing trip in a voice so firm it left no room for argument. She even made a point of telling Dan at work that she wasn't interested, ever, in anything outside professional conversation. But the damage had been done. Every time I looked at her, I saw the woman who considered, even for a moment, throwing away everything we had for some fleeting thrill. The trust between us had been cracked, and no amount of apologies could fully erase that. One evening, a week later, we sat across from each other at the dinner table, the silence between us heavier than ever. "You're still angry," Amy said quietly, pushing her food around her plate. I set my fork down. "I'm not angry. I'm just trying to understand." She swallowed hard. "I already told you I wasn't thinking. It was stupid. But you were thinking," I said. "Enough to bring it up. Enough to plan it." Her eyes glistened. "Tim, I love you. I don't want anyone else. I just got caught up in the idea of something different for a second, that's all." "Different," I repeated. "Different for me?" She flinched. "That's not what I meant." I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. "I don't know if I can just forget this, Amy. Every time I close my eyes, I see you telling me you want an adventure with some other guy." She reached across the table, gripping my hand. "Then let's have our own adventure. Just you and me. Something that reminds us why we're still us." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to pull away, to shut down. But the other part, the part that had loved her for over 2 decades, ached to fix this. "Like what?" I finally asked. A small, hopeful smile tugged at her lips. "Remember that road trip we always talked about? The one where we drive up the coast with no plan, just stopping wherever we want." I did remember. We dreamed about it when the girls were little, back when time and money were tight. "You're serious?" I asked. She nodded. "I'll book the time off work. We'll leave this weekend. No expectations. No rules. Just us." I studied her face, the same face I'd woken up to for 20 years. The same woman who'd stood by me through everything. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back. I squeezed her hand. "All right," I said. "Let's go."